Hello again, and welcome back to Illustrator. Today we are going to work with the scale, the live trace, and the paint bucket tools. And in this exercise, well, let's take a look at what our exercise is going to look like. Not this one. We're going to create an image that looks somewhat like this. It won't be exactly the same, but believe it or not, this is actually a real photograph that we have converted into a vector graphic, which is pretty awesome if you ask me. One of the great things about Illustrator. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is create a new file and name it and save it. And we're going to find the photograph that we are going to use, or you are going to use the image that I have uploaded to the images folder called image 1 under this unit. And we're going to get to that. Let's get to that point first. So we're going to go to File, New, creating a new image. I'm going to stick with the traditional 8.5 by 11 letter image. And I'm going to do this and click OK. You can call it whatever you like. So now we're going to go to File, and we're going to go down to Place, and click Place. And you shall then find the image that you are going to use. I have mine loaded right here. I'm going to click Place. And you'll notice that it floats for a minute until I click somewhere on the artboard and decide where I want it to be. So you'll notice now that it's not really where I want it to be, and that this image isn't quite the size that I want it to be. So I'm going to zoom out. The zoom tool, it looks like this magnifying glass here. If you right click on the zoom tool, I'm using a touchpad, so I'm not going to get too particular. You can press the Option key if you hold it down, or the Alt or Option key, and you'll notice there becomes a minus in the middle of our magnifying glass. And this is how we're going to zoom out. Or we can just click the Z or Z and hold down the two buttons together. Okay, so I'm going to move around, and I'm going to now go down and choose the Scale tool over here on the Tools panel. And I'm going to go down to the corner of my image. I'm going to hold the Shift key down because you'll notice that I don't really want my image to be flat like this. So in order to constrain the proportions, I'm going to hold my Shift key down while I'm resizing this. And I'm then going to choose the Selection tool or press V to activate it and drag my art over there. And you'll notice, now I'm going to press the Z key again to zoom in. And you'll notice that it does not fit my artboard. So what I'm going to do now, it could, but I'm going to pretend that it won't, because I'm now going to go and choose my artboard tool, and I'm going to use my artboard to make this fit, just in case your image doesn't quite fit. Okay, I'm going to go back to my selection tool and click somewhere on the screen to deactivate it, and you will notice that now I have this beautiful picture in the middle of my artboard. But I can't do anything to it because it's still an actual one flat image. So there are steps that I'm going to have to take to turn this into vector graphic and split apart each of these into different objects. So I'm going to go up to Object. First I'm going to select my image. I'm going to go to Object, and I'm going to click Rasterize. And this is going to actually rasterize this image. One thing that you might want to pay attention to, now depending on how you want to export this, you want this to be a grayscale image. Now we're just going to keep it as simple CMYK. And in the resolution, it may default to high. You probably to preserve some space on your system. It's very system intensive, so we're going to stick with 72 ppi and click OK. And you will notice that suddenly this image looks much more flat. So I'm going to go up to Live Trace that you see here. I'm going to click the arrow down, and I'm going to choose 16 colors. Now this is going to be a bit hard on my system, but that's okay. We have a couple minutes. I'm going to go back into my Word file to see what's next. So here we are. So we have rasterized our file. We're using 16 color, and now we're going to have to expand this image once it has been turned into vector live trace. Okay, so it's been done. So now we're going to click expand, and this will separate each and every one of these objects into separate parts. So this means now if I choose the direct selection tool or press A, I can click on each of these sections. I'm going to press the arrow key up and over and separate this part. I'm going to click off the screen to separate it. You'll notice that now all of a sudden my image is pretty interesting. Okay, so now we're going to work with our paint. So you can use the eyedropper tool to start with and pick a color that you like. Your panel will probably look like this initially, and you want to activate your color guide. So let's first do that, and I'm going to have you click on this little arrow and look at all the different color combination options that we have. So I like to work with complementary 2 because it gives me a lot of options, but these are all complementary colors when it comes to blending. There are different ways that we can go about doing this. Like, say for example, I choose my selection tool, I select this portion over here, I go and I choose a different color, and I can fill it this way. Okay, so then I'm going to go, I will select another portion, say over here, and then I will select another color and change that. And I'll select another, I don't really like that. I'm going to keep that black, dark. And then I'll select another portion over here, and maybe I'll make that different color. Okay, so we're just experimenting. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to select this image by using the selection tool. We're going to go over and choose Live Paint Bucket. And now I can change by just clicking. Oh, I'm getting some lag. I can change all of these different parts by just clicking on in the section that I want to change. And you can feel free to experiment with this. It's pretty cool. We can do a lot of things. This is one of the benefits of working with. So we actually don't even need to have it selected. As you can see, we can just, with this tool selected, we can go, you'll notice that the area that's going to change has been colored yellow, or colored red, and I'm just going to keep changing this. Anyway, so this is what we can do. It's a pretty amazing thing. Yours hopefully won't look like this, and hopefully it will look a little bit more like this by the time you are done. But this is how we've accomplished this. I hope you've learned something. See you next time.